Hey guys, and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. So we made some really nice progress yesterday on our large bronze boiler setup. We have our coke ovens hooked up to this buffer tank for creosote. We are now compressing the charcoal into charcoal blocks and feeding it into our bronze boiler. Although we do have some circuitry burned out here in the bronze boiler, let's start off today by addressing that. So we need to make our batteries. We had a look at this last episode, and the specific battery we need is lithium, which we can get from the processing of lepidolite. So between episodes I did do a little bit of mining. I managed to find another salt vein. And I also just done some chores around the base, processed some of the ore we had, refilled our smeltery and blast furnaces. So right now we are working on getting some of this lepidolite processed. First step is to macerate, then through the forge hammer, then we throw it through the centrifuge. And there is technically a better way to process this with the ore washer, but we currently don't have the LV ore washer. We are just going to play a numbers game here with the centrifuge. I think it's 11% chance for lithium. So I've been talking about this for a few episodes, but I think the plan for today is to finally flesh out this area and actually build something instead of just our little structure here. But more on that later in the video. For now, we do have at least enough lithium to progress. This should be 2 quests. I did already make the cannon machine, like so. So this cannon machine we're going to stick anywhere that has a cable available. Don't worry, it's not going to be long before we can move all of these things. But inside the cannon machine we put our battery hulls and some lithium, and we got our small lithium batteries. Awesome. These things are going to be very useful when we eventually rework our machine processing area. There's also our quest. Oh, we got a treasure. Some gold coins, yeah, I'll take that. And we got a loot bag here for our cannon machine. Let's see if we get lucky. A dolly. Actually, that's not bad. But yeah, the whole reason we need the battery is to craft up our soldering alloy, which I think is like this. And this should be the final tool we need to fix this maintenance hatch. So we need to have some tin or soldering alloy in our inventory. Did that work? Maybe it has to be soldering alloy. Let's try that. It's going to be an alloy of antimony and tin. Oh, you know what, actually? I think it might just be that we have to charge this thing. Yeah, I noticed that it has an EU value. Maybe tin does work in that case. Alright, is this going to work this time? It did use the soldering alloy. I think this means it works, right? And now we just hit it with the soft mallet? Oh, it's running. Okay, wait. Let's double check to make sure we're getting water in this thing. Okay, and we've got our steam output. Is it going into the tank? It is. Look at that. We're filling with steam. Nice. Oh, and we're emitting pollution here. Yep, this is what the muffler hatch here on the back is for. Okay, since we're not ready to actually run this thing permanently, let's turn this off. And it looks like we're almost out of creosote oil. Yeah, which brings us on to our next issue. We have to actually farm some logs for this thing. The logs is what go into the coke ovens, which produce charcoal for us, and creosote oil, which is what we use to fuel the boiler here. Pretty much as soon as we access MV and get our blast furnace up and running, we're going to have a way to farm logs. But for now, we're going to chop spruce like this. This is really fun to do, actually. And the wood we farm will eventually automatically be put in this drawer here, which gets distributed amongst all the coke ovens here. Yeah, it took a second, but these things are slowly filling up. I'm not sure why the animation isn't playing here. So yeah, the logs is something we can come back to in MV. We will have to do some thorough testing just to make sure we have enough water tanks up there. It looks like I missed a block actually. Just to make sure we're able to supply this thing enough water. Because if this ever runs out of water, then we've got a massive crater on our hands and this whole thing explodes. So we definitely don't want that. The last thing we're going to need for this boiler setup, other than the aesthetic upgrades it needs badly, is some redstone logic to be able to turn it on and off. And for that I'd like to use some RS latches. To craft these things though, we need an assembler, which we have. We need molten redstone, we need circuit plates, which needs a forming press. And the forming press is something we've not made yet. Oh, hold on, this also takes a laser engraver. Yeah, I see, just basically a lot of circuits. And of course another emitter, which is an extra 2 circuits here. So that's 10 circuits, 4 pistons, and 2 machine hulls. Great. So I've been batch crafting some circuits and collected the components we need for our machines. Although I think we're overthinking this redstone control. All we actually need is a redstone comparator. Yeah, I mean, these things we can definitely use later on anyway. One thing for sure I know that we do need is these machine controllers. So we can make these just with some iron plates, some levers, and a molten soldering alloy with circuit 1. So this is another Gregtech cover you can put on the side of the machines, and it basically just turns on or off the machine given a redstone signal. Okay, so the redstone is going to be as follows. We have a comparator reading the signal strength of the iron tank valve, which will output a redstone signal depending on the fill level of the tank. Once it reaches a signal strength of 5, it powers this repeater, which powers this red alloy wire. The red alloy wire is connected to our controller block, which has our machine controller cover on there. I have it manually disabled right now, but basically we want this on disable with redstone, so that when it's powered on, the machine turns off. And that should prevent excess pollution, it should prevent excess fuel burn, and should also ensure that we have enough water in here to prevent explosions. Although we do have a slight problem with this setup, and that is the bronze pipe that we have here is not a large enough pipe. Basically, this bronze boiler can output 16,000 litres of steam, and this bronze can only hold 2,400. So now that we've been to the Twilight Forest, we're going to make up something called potin, or potin? Yeah, it's an alloy between tin, lead, and bronze. We just have to smelt the dust, run them through the bending machine to make them plates, and use the plates to craft our pipes. Perfect. Well, it did take us a while for us to get this up and running, and the fill level threshold may need adjusted. I would quite like to buffer a bit more steam than we currently are. But other than the issue of, well, the fuel input, we are now ready to start using the steam for all of our machines. But before we do, I think we're going to do some building and try to flesh out the style of our base. I have some ideas. But to do any building, well, we're going to need blocks to work with. And the block palette that we've chosen out is bit blocks from Zetone, layer blocks from Zetones, and lav blocks from Zetones. All of which are crafted from the Zetone tiles, and this takes a lot of Minecraft stone, and stone slabs. So getting stone here, I think we're going to maybe invest in Silk Touch. That may be our best option for now. But we're definitely going to want a better way to make stone slabs. Right now I'm using saws, which are used up very quickly. There is this other alternative route though, to use the cutting machine. And the cutting machine is up on the left side of the quest line. We need to make something called cobalt brass. And the quest for cobalt brass requires cobalt aluminium dust, brass dust, zinc dust, and copper dust. So yeah, this is where our cobaltite comes in from last episode. We can centrifuge some of this at a chance for cobalt dust, which is what we use to craft the cobalt brass. Oh, and we're a couple of pieces short here, it looks like. Maybe it was more efficient in the mixer? Yeah, it definitely is more efficient in the mixer. So now, once again, we smelt the dust. And we have to run this through the alloy smelter to give us gears. A minute per recipe, wow. And craft the gears with some diamond to give the diamond saw blade. And I think the saw blade is the only thing we don't have for this machine yet. The rest of the stuff we pre-crafted earlier on. Totally in anticipation of this cutting machine. 1 LV loot bag. An apiary, wow. So I've hooked up our basic cutting machine here, very cramped in the corner, but we have a hopper on top to supply the inputs. We are also supplying this water via this wooden fluid pipe, and we will automatically export to the left. So just to get rid of most of our creosote oil that used to be in that coke oven, we're actually running quite low now. I have been periodically smelting just regular cobblestone to give us stone. I knew that we would need a lot of this coming up for building, but now that we have it set up like this, we can just throw in a bunch of stone here. It's going to cut it all down into slabs. And then I believe there is an assembler recipe for this. 4 stone slabs, 1 stone gives us 8 Zetone tiles. So yeah, automating building blocks is not something I normally do in the beginning of the game like this, but I really don't think it's a bad idea. So yeah, I'm going to prepare a few more materials and we'll start developing this area a bit more. It's about time, right? really wish this oil wasn't here, to be perfectly honest now, but man, look at this. I'm so incredibly excited for where this is going. This actually turned out quite a bit better than I thought. I'm really happy actually to be back to this style of building. Well, the Create Above and Beyond base was pretty cool actually. I like the way that turned out. I think I do prefer building like this. So yeah, I'm liking the direction of this thing. We have the bit floor, and I just extended that up to the walls for some extra accent blocks. Originally this was all just layer blocks and lathe blocks, but I think it definitely benefits from the third colour being introduced on this wall. And the other side of this wall, the inside actually looks not too bad either. I mean, of course we have to remove the cobblestone here. And I also raised the ceiling so that, I mean, we have to have this covered, right, for the boiler. I think it looks pretty cool actually. I like seeing all the pipes in this. Normally I try to hide all the pipes, but I think it benefits if we have them shown. I put the tanks on some support blocks. I may actually switch this out with bit blocks. I'm not sure which one's going to look better, to be honest. One thing I think we need to change though is the height of this specific part here, where it sort of juts out. I think this has to be much taller. I think we're going to actually double the height on this thing. Yeah, right on these middle sections right here. I think this has to be 7 or 8 blocks taller. Let's try it there, see what that looks like. Oh yeah, I'm liking that quite a bit. Man, this oil is in the way. Can't see the wall here. Yeah, I definitely think that looks better when it's taller like that. But this healing axe is coming in huge. We are taking so much fall damage from building this high up. So this wall at the back here is also something we have to figure out. I think honestly though, I'm just going to keep it quite flat. We've got enough going on in this area that, yeah, I don't really want to mess with moving the wall out a bit more. And we can mix it up a bit just by including some of these bit blocks every 3 blocks. And then I was thinking about what we're going to do up here. The original plan was just to keep terraforming and do everything on that same level down there at Y79 I think we're on. But honestly, I think it would be cool if we had it on this level, and then maybe we have some things that go underground. We can have like a double level to this area, and that way it just gives some height variation to the base. So pollution is something we haven't really talked about too much, but I think it's something we should consider at this stage of the game. It can give effects like smog, poison, sour rain, vegetation destruction, all that nasty stuff, and there's pretty much no way to avoid it. There is ways to mitigate and play around it though. But basically each cycle, the game will check a number of chunks. There'll be a minimum of 1 chunk processed per tick. If it has greater than a value of 400,000 pollution, measured in Gibble, then it will spread to a neighbouring chunk. This doesn't affect diagonals though, so it's only the 4 compass directions. So if there's greater than 400,000 Gibble and it decides to pass the pollution on to the next chunk, the number it's going to pass on is the current chunk's pollution minus the neighbour's pollution, then divided by 20. So it doesn't give all pollution to neighbours, it will only give a small portion. And then once it's processed, the original chunk will be reassigned a pollution value of 99.45% of what it was before. So basically each time a chunk is processed, it does lose some of its pollution. But again, some of it is passed on to the neighbouring chunks, which is why we have to be careful in where we set things up. So in light of this news, I'm not sure entirely where we're going to be farming the wood that's going to go into this coke oven setup. I was going to put it here instead of having the water tanks there, but since pollution is going to be a factor and this area is going to be very heavily polluted, it may be a little bit wiser to have it like over here where we're already farming the wood, or maybe even across the river. I was considering also claiming this and incorporating that into our base one day. You may also have noticed here that I did set up the fluid solidifier, fed this also with water, and this is going to give us snow blocks. The snow blocks I've been sending through the compressor for ice, and the ice is what we combine with Z-tones to give us the lathe blocks we use for the walls. And it's also apparently on circuit 0. There's no way to set circuit 0 in this GUI unless I'm missing it somewhere. Yeah, I wonder if that's intended or not. So yeah, I had to add an extra circuit in this assembling machine. And then these layer blocks are made from netherrack. We have tons and tons of netherrack. I'm pretty sure there's a way to farm it later on. Maybe not actually. Well, in any case, netherrack's really easy to get. So yeah, I think from here we're going to be taking things quite slow, at least towards the end of LV. I would like to get all of this area developed, and I think the next thing we're going to work on is an area for the LV machines. Silverfish? What are you doing here? I did not expect to see some silverfish there. But yeah, our LV machines I think we're going to put in this area. Also, I feel like I just slept like 30 seconds ago. And then we do also have to consider an entrance. So maybe we knock down this part of the wall, this half of the wall. Yeah, and then somehow it can connect up with this path. Plans have kind of changed since I laid out this circle in the middle, but I think we can still incorporate this somehow. Yeah, let me see what I can come up with here actually. So you might be wondering here, what happened to all of our machines? Well, I have been very busy here. This is still a work in progress, however I did manage to set up all of the LV machines outside. We also have some of the steam machines around here. But yeah, generally I tried to follow the same theme as the rest of the base. Wanted to keep these really nice slopes going. I really love those blocks. One thing I'm not in love with though is the water tanks, but they have to be there for now. I mean, eventually, I think it's HV, when we unlock reservoirs, we can actually remove those things. So those won't stay long term, but they are piped into some of the machines that are there. But starting from the beginning here, I've also been adding some more water tanks in preparation for the second boiler, which we have half crafted here. We still need the actual controller block itself and all of the hatches on the back. And you may also notice this extra pot-in line which goes into our steam tank, which is actually now full. The reason for that is we have our solar boilers up there. So these things are connected more or less as they... You wouldn't believe how many times that's happened. So these things are hooked up via the wooden pipes here, which connect to the bronze ones underneath. And all of these bronze ones are for water. So this connects to our main water line that comes off to feed all of our boilers. And the steam output from the side of those things are separated out on this pot-in pipe and then into our iron tank here. But yeah, from underneath we then have the output pipe, which is going across the middle of the room. I actually don't mind the look of this, although it may get moved to underneath. Yeah, I don't really mind it being like this though. And you can even see here it goes through the middle where we have this little cutout. If we go in here, you're going to see the way I have this hooked up. So the main pot-in line, the one that has the most throughput, runs over top, and then that is connected to some bronze fluid pipes, which supply our steam machines. Which by this point, I think we can upgrade to the more advanced versions for faster item processing. We have another water tank up top, which is fed into the basic cutting machine, which has to be fed, well, either lubricant, distilled water, or regular water, I think it is. Although apparently this thing isn't getting any input. Is it maybe just that it's pointed backwards? Oh yeah, there we go. Nice. So yeah, on this wall here, I'm not really sure what machines we're going to have here. I guess there's some extra space, but we have the cutting machine electrolyzer here. Then if we follow the steam pipe into the next block of machines, this wiring ended up pretty clean, I would say, actually. There's a few modifications I'd like to make to this, which we'll get to in a second. But for now, just to get these machines running, I've been doing some more processing for the water tank sidings, which are in the assembling machine over here. So I just wanted to get this hooked up with some steam just to get some EU running through these cables. So on this side I wanted to keep all the ones that use fluid, or most of the ones that use fluid. So we have an extra water tank up there feeding this fluid solidifier. And I intentionally exposed the wire so that we can manually disconnect this when we don't want this filled with water. But yeah, fluid extractor, fluid solidifier, centrifuge, assembling machine, circuit assembling machine above this, and then chemical reactor, which we mainly use for rubber at the moment. And then through the other side here, we have the cannon machine, the lathe, bending machine, wire mill, and mixer. Pretty much all of these don't require any fluids. Maybe besides the mixer, I think you can mix some fluids in this. But yeah, this is going to be our first iteration of this base. I imagine it's going to change quite a bit over the course of this series. But I wanted to have this as an extra walkway over top, which I think will extend over this way. Plans have kind of changed again. I've changed my mind on how I want to lay this out quite a few times, but I think we're going to extend the building all the way along to where the farms are, and then have it connect up with our storage room up there. And we may even move the storage room. We'll see about that, but that's not going to be anytime soon. So yeah, first thing I would like to implement into our new machine setup is some of the batteries we've recently unlocked. This will be a better way to store power rather than storing it as steam. We can store it as EU. So I think we're going to go for the 4-slot version. We'll need some 4x tin wires, some LV machine hulls, and some chests. I haven't used these machines very much, but I always forget where they are now because everything's changed layout. And there is also an extra walk now. It may not seem very significant, an extra few steps, but this actually does add up when you're running back and forwards for materials. So I think we're going to have to address that somehow. We will also need some more battery hulls. In fact, I think we should have some batteries made up, don't we? We have 4 here. Yeah, let's make another maybe 8. We have plenty of battery alloy to work with. Yeah, there's 4 more battery hulls. So this is where we have to be a little bit careful not to cause any explosions. If we're going to be working with 4x battery buffers, well, we need 4x cable. So I'm going to make up some more tin. There is a few other options we could use in terms of the cable material. But the tin wire here has a voltage loss of 2 per block. Actually, it looks like the 4x is only 1 per block, which should be fine for pretty much all the recipes we're going to be doing in these LV machines. Okay, we got enough tin wire made up, and we've already pre-crafted a lot of these machine hulls. So we're going to make 3 battery buffers. And we can also get our quest. Oh, that's right, we also have to fill our batteries. Where is the cannon machine? There it is there. And since we have lithium, we're going to use lithium. Again, there is some other options we can use for the batteries. We could do also sodium batteries, cadmium batteries, or there's some liquid ones available to us as well. Oh, that's right, it's 2 lithium per. I don't think we've got enough batteries for all of these then. Well, in any case, I think well, first of all, let's remove all this tin cable so we don't accidentally hook it up to this and destroy our new base. And I think what we're actually going to do here is move these turbines up a block, or up 2 blocks. Then we put these directly on the battery buffers. Hopefully that will insert like this. And then we can just run our tin cable along here. Make sure we hook all this up. And then same on the other side, I guess. Yeah, and last thing we have to do is fill the battery buffers. So we should see these fill up. Oh, now they're receiving EU. Yeah, it was actually this battery buffer that was backwards. Yeah, there we go. I think it's filling the buffers on the machines right now. Alright, well this means we have 100,000 EU to work with, and in theory we could probably run all of these machines at once. But yeah, that was a nice little upgrade. We will have to do the same on the other side. Although, as you might have noticed here, we don't have a steam turbine for this side. So we're just going to craft another one up. We have some spare materials and circuits to work with, although that backlog is quickly running out actually. We're down to 12 LV circuits and 2 machine hulls. I mean, in fairness, we do have quite a lot of stuff pre-crafted here, and our steel supply is actually looking really healthy at 300, although iron is now down to 137. While I was doing all the building, I tried to keep the blast furnaces full, but that resulted in all the iron being used, along with the water tanks there. Those actually take iron rods as well. Alright, we got the same thing copied on the other side, where we have our cutting machine and electrolyzer. So that should give this power, and I guess we'll run the extra tin cables for when we inevitably add more machines on this side. We'll have to move this wooden fluid pipe to the top side, since we're inputting power from the back. I'm not sure, by the way, if there's a way to cover these Gregtech pipes. Let me know in the comments if you know any way to do that. Maybe with micro blocks or something like that. But also, while we're here, I guess we can swap out these bronze pipes. Yeah, I'm going to make them all potent pipes, so that when we upgrade the machines we have enough throughput to be able to cope with the extra steam demand. Hello, zombie. Poisonous Berserk. Oh yeah. Also, since these water tank sidings are now made up, let's fill in the gaps here that I keep forgetting about too many times. Yeah, and as I mentioned, I've started making up some extra here for when we inevitably add the next boiler. Although that may not be for a while until we actually need the excess steam for the MV machines we'll be building. So even though it's going to look a little bit ugly, I'm going to put some chests underneath our machines. I think it's going to be important to have some automatic output and be able to buffer more than just the one item slot of the machine output. Especially for things like the wire mill and the lathe especially, actually, since this gives us 2 outputs. May end up putting some hoppers on top as well, which again is going to ruin the aesthetic, but... So yeah, the next little project I'd like to do today is to finally be able to take down the structure, or at least its contents, and we'll repurpose the space for something else. So going back to the idea we talked about earlier on, I think we'll dig out an extra processing machine room through here, and through the wall here we'll house things like the blast furnace. It's going to be really convenient since it will be close to the source of blocks of charcoal. We could even put it right through this wall right here and then just run the charcoal blocks underneath to feed into the blast furnaces there. Assuming they actually take auto input. They should, right? Yeah, we have hoppers on the side, what am I talking about? But yeah, this will be underneath, and then we'll have something else above there. We still have to figure out a staircase. We'll probably put that over here somewhere. And lighting as well. Lighting is something I kind of want to get down early. I normally always leave that to last, but with the Inferno mobs in this, we can't we can't really afford to put it off that much longer. Oh, where did that creeper go? Oh, that guy's a teleporting creeper. An ender creeper, I think they're called. This makes me feel so uneasy when there's a mob like that. Alright everyone, well we have a square box, but it's not going to be a square box forever. I do have some ideas on how to introduce some shape into this, but as you can see here we have kept all chunk aligned. In fact, everything we've built here is chunk aligned specifically for the multi-blocks. We have to make sure none of these cross over borders like this. So yeah, one of the first things we're going to be moving in there is these blast furnaces. And I would also like to add 2 more of these things. I'm not sure we're going to have the materials for it though. Wow, these are difficult to break. This is this is going to take a long time. Hello, Enderman. Ah, can't get me here, can you? Oh, nice, some ender pearls. Alright, our blast furnaces have been set up. I hope that isn't an issue, by the way, with the smoke hitting the dirt. But yeah, the reason I left so much space behind is we can actually wall shear another 2 blast furnaces on the back of this. So yeah, at some point soon we'll be adding 2 more of these things. But at least now they are a bit further away from our main area over there. I mean, I guess this is kind of becoming our main area here, but yeah, for the pollution we talked about. And then the other thing I'm planning on this room for is our electric blast furnace, which will probably sit around here. I mean, eventually we'll have multiple of those blast furnaces, but I think our first electric one, which should be coming up here soon when we enter NV, is going to sit right here. So the last thing I'd like to look into today, I'm not sure if we're going to have enough materials for it right enough, but you guys have suggested multiple times actually this steam grinder, and I'm all for that idea. The macerator that we have is way too slow. So this thing is a 3x3x3 multi-block, which acts as a macerator, and it's going to be powered by all of the steam we are now producing. I think we'll have more than enough steam to be able to power this thing, and this is how we'll be able to process all of our ores and hopefully do less mining. And I think there's also a furnace of some kind added by GT++, and I don't think it's this thing either. I don't know, I could be crazy on that, I don't know. But the macerator, yeah, we definitely want a macerator to be able to do less mining. I know we do get automated miners fairly soon actually, but still, that will give us ores which do need to be processed. And until we reach, I think it's HV, we don't get any excess byproducts out of the ores we process. Looking at the recipe for this thing though, we need some Tumbaga? I have no idea. And this thing is an alloy between, oh, it's a mixer recipe, yeah, copper dust and gold dust. Our current supply of gold is 94. Something tells me that's not going to be enough. Copper, we're at 500, so I think we're fine for copper. But yeah, since we need the gold, I'm going to do some mining here. It's nice that we also pick up some iron from this magnetite vein. The gold is quite sporadic, and this is almost depleted actually, but there's quite a few of these magnetite veins around here. So I did do some mining. All of that ore is going to take a little while to process, especially since we only have the steam macerator right now, and I want to make sure we have as much gold as we can. But why isn't this macerator running? Did I? Oh, it would help if we connected the pipes here. Some of you may have spotted that earlier actually, I'm not sure. So yeah, all of that is going to take some time to process. I think I'll also have to make up some more brass for this. We need more of those plated bricks that we used on our boilers there. So I think this is a good point to wrap up the episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon for some more Gregtech New Horizons.